Hey there, this is Rose Buckley. I am a home inspector on the US Inspect Maryland and DC team, and I also work as the social media marketing manager and recruiter for US Inspect. I've also been working for the past few months, it's about December, with a company called ID Energy, and in collaboration with the Department of Energy, I am working as their national ambassador for the Home Energy Score program. And Tim has asked me here today to talk about the Home Energy Score program with you guys because US Inspect is considering taking it on as a product offering for our clients. So I'm going to go through what the Home Energy Score is and how it could be a great offering for our clients. So pretty much the Home Energy Score in a nutshell is a mile per gallon rating on a home. So when you go to buy a car, you look at the mile per gallon rating and you see how much gas you have to put into the car and how much energy it consumes. And then you can kind of gauge, based on your normal use of the car, how much gas you would be spending per month. And that helps you make your decision a little bit better. Same thing with the Home Energy Score. We would be looking at all the major components of a house, the foundation, the HVAC systems, the insulation, the attic, the structure of the walls, the windows, things of that nature. And with all of that information combined, we enter it into an algorithm, and that algorithm spits out the Home Energy Score. And the Department of Energy has been working for a very long time to constantly improve it, and they're actually coming out with some more products very soon, and I'll share with you guys that a little bit at the end of the video. So I find it really helpful to kind of just jump into it and show you what the Home Energy Score looks like. So we're going to go through maybe 2 or 3 Home Energy Score reports so that you can see what they look like and all the information that they provide. And then I'll share with you a little bit more details about, the business aspect of it. So I'm going to throw my face up in the corner so that you and I can see the same screen. So over here, I have actually signed into the online portal here. This is where I sign in with ID Energy to do the Home Energy Score. I know that there's been talks of possibly having US Inspect incorporate the Home Energy Score into Canvas so that it kind of draws from what we do on our home inspections, because I would say about 95% of the information that we need to do a Home Energy Score is already done on a normal home inspection. We're not doing very much extra. So I know that there have been talks about that may be coming down the road, but this is a very easy, very simple website to use. And so I'm going to go through that in just a minute, but let me show you what the Home Energy Score looks like. So it does go on a scale of 1 to 10, and that kind of puts people off a little bit. The DOE knows that, and they're working on that. But we can look here. This is the first one I wanted to show you. This particular house, as you can see, the very first page has the 1 to 10 rating, and 5 is an average home score for the United States. And here you can see this home scored a 1. Now, that was because this home was built around the 60s, 70s, and it was floor to ceiling, wall to wall windows, and it was single pane windows. So it was very, very inefficient. It was just bleeding energy. So that's a conversation I had with my clients on site. That's something that I know you as home inspectors would be having a conversation about energy efficiency loss with that. If you were on site as well, it's just common sense. But this puts it into numbers for them. So their home scored a 1. And it tells you what their score is today. Their estimated annual energy cost would be $3,119 based on everything that I put into the report. And as you can see down here, this particular house had a combination of electricity and natural gas. And so that was for the water heater and the HVAC systems. And so that's where it drew its energy to support the home. And so based on the electricity and the natural gas combined, they came up with this score. The average, as I said, was a 5, but the cool thing about this, it not only tells you how much you currently waste, 53% of the energy is lost in inefficiencies in this particular home today, but it tells you how much you can save. So you could save almost $1,200 if you make the recommended upgrades, and I'll get to that in just a second. Then you can also eliminate almost 40% of your carbon emissions with the recommended upgrades. So it tells you today, and then what if you implement the upgrades you can get to, which would be a 6, which is pretty good. It's a little bit above the national average. And so that would take you down about $1,200 a year down to $1,950. per year, estimated annual energy costs. So that's really, really helpful information for our buyers. And then it just gives some information in graphical form down here. And then as we scroll through, the reports are generally 6 pages. The first page, the cover page, as we just saw, just kind of like a summary. And then the following pages are what we enter into the system. So I entered, the basic, it was 1960s. So, basic information about the house, square footage and things like that, the direction face of the house. Most of the stuff we already look at our home inspections. We enter information on the roof, the attic, the foundation, walls and such. And as we come down, you can see windows, skylights, and then some information on the HVAC and ducts. And then on the final page, the 6th page of the report, is the recommendations as I discussed earlier. So they could go from a 1 to a 6 if they implemented the recommendations. So here are those recommendations. There are 2 different kinds, the repair now and the replace later. Repair now is things that the homeowner can do before or during, like right as they move into the house. They're simple, fairly easy things to do, fairly inexpensive, and the only things that are recommended here are things that can get a rate of return under 10 years. So if it's going to be astronomically expensive, then and you won't get your return within 10 years, it won't recommend it. So these are, pretty good return on investments here. So repair now, things that they can do now. Attic 1, increase the attic floor insulation to R19 and save $76 per year. So a lot of times as home inspectors, and I know most of you do this as well, when I go into an attic and I see very little insulation or very old insulation, I'll say this is not very eco-friendly, you're going to lose a lot of energy, it's inefficient. So we tell them, you want to plus up your attic insulation. This report actually tells them how much money, they put a number to it, how much money you can save by doing that. Air tightness, have a professional seal the gaps and cracks and you'll save $57 per year. If they simply have their ductwork professionally sealed, they can save $167 per year. So these are very simple, easy things that they can do, and it gives them a number to work with. It helps them prioritize their list of repairs as well. The replace later are things that they can do when systems fail. So obviously we're not going to tell someone to replace your furnace because it's old, even though it's working. When it's time to replace the furnace, you would want to consider having one with an Energy Star label, and that's going to save you $140 per year, things like that. Windows in this particular house, as I said, were very large, took up a lot of square footage, and they were single pane. So the number one thing that's recommended is pick windows with Energy Star label, and you'll save $622 per year. So really, really helpful information, really awesome for our clients. I know that all of you are watching this and you can see how this would add value to what we offer to our clients. I'll show you one more. Here we go, we have this house scored a 3. They would be spending, as you can see, everything was electric in this particular house, and so they could expect to spend $2,389 in the snapshot of the house today as it is, and so it scored a 3. And so it wastes about 32% of energy. They could save $527 per year if they implemented the upgrades that we recommend, and they could eliminate almost a quarter of their current carbon emissions if they did that. And then doing the recommendations would bring them down to about $1,800 per year on energy savings. So same thing, you can see all of the information that I've entered into the system for this particular house. And as we come down to the bottom, these are the recommendations for this client. Getting a heat pump that's Energy Star labeled would save them $53 per year. Sometimes it's not going to be a really high savings, but it still is something that I would recommend. Replacing the water heater with a heat pump water heater that's Energy Star labeled could save them $246 per year. So definitely things that are really helpful for them. And I'll quickly go through so you can see that there are homes that score high. So this particular home did score an 8, which is already fantastic, amazing. I've actually never scored a house that was higher than an 8. 8 was the highest that I've seen. So this was one of the best homes I've seen as far as energy efficiency. And you can see that they've already scored an 8, and that would make them very happy moving in, and it did make them, they were very pleased with that. And in this particular case, there's not really much room for improvement, but it does help them, it helps with sales, which is really cool. If you get this done on a pre-listing inspection, you can offer this, which is really cool. But $165 per year in energy cost if they implement some changes. There's really not much room for improvement. So if they wanted to do that, the recommendations are on the final page as we saw previously, but there are really high scoring houses as well. So pretty cool thing. And so I'm gonna bring this back so you can see me. Overall, every customer that I've worked with said that they absolutely love the program. They love the report. It's so helpful for them. It's very easy to read, very simple, very straightforward, and they love the recommendations. So we're also working on getting a list of providers. So if we say you need attic insulation, we can point them in the direction of a trusted provider as well. So really cool about that. Now, many of you may be also thinking that if it scores a 1, that realtors may be very upset with us. And yes, that happens occasionally. Realtors want the deal to go through. They don't want anything to, any obstacles in their way. And so they see lower numbers as an obstacle to them having their client go to closing. But the way that I kind of pitch it to everyone is I say, this is an older house, the insulation's not that great, you can expect a lower number, so setting that expectation really helps both the client and the realtor. But it also kind of, not only prepares them, but it just says, hey, this is not a bad thing. I've never had or even heard of anyone walking away from a house based on the results of the home energy score, high or low. So it's kind of like, and I liken it to this when I talk to them and I say, if you really want a Hummer, you're going to go buy a Hummer. And you can look at the mile per gallon rating and see that it's really low and it's not very efficient. But if you really want that Hummer, you're going to buy it. And so if you have a Hummer and you want to, change a few things within the engine or whatnot to make it more efficient, then I'm going to give you those recommendations here. So yeah, I've never had anybody walk away from a house, even that person who got scored a 1, they were happy to still buy the house, but they were super excited that they had some recommendations to make it a little bit better. So that's what we're here for at the end of the day. So there are different ways that we can, go through and help our agents understand that this is a good thing. It's just a mile per gallon rating for the house, and it's nothing to really worry about as far as, deal breakers per se. So yeah, no problems there. Now, as far as the training to be able to provide the home energy score, there are 2 different ways to get trained. The DOE requires that you pass the training and the test. And then in order to keep your status as a home energy score assessor, you have to just produce 1 score every 6 months. There's no ongoing continuing education and there's no retesting. Once you're certified, you are certified for life as long as every 6 months you provide a score. And if you get really busy and you're not really pushing the home energy score as much and you kind of want to keep it active because you want to work with it in the future, but you don't want to have to go back and retest, then do a home energy score on your own house. Not a big deal. So yeah, definitely really easy as far as that goes. There's no ongoing continuing education, no retesting, which is fantastic, very great. Now, as far as the training itself goes, there are 2 different ways that it can be done. You can do an in-person session, which there's only 2 people providing that now, Brent and myself, and I'm still working with him to train to be on my own to do that. But yeah, we are doing, Brent, and I said that very quickly, Brent is the manager of ID Energy for this program. So I've been working with Brent Loya quite a bit about that. So Brent has been doing the trainings and he's training me to be a trainer as well. So in-person trainings are about 2 days long, 2 full days, but it's kind of like just bang it out in a weekend and be done with it. So a lot of people find it really helpful. It's we get together and we have happy hours and things like that. It makes it much better. But then there's also, which is what I'm assuming will likely be the case, is that you can do the online training. Now the online training is very similar to what we already have at our training school in US Inspect. And so it's online and you just click through. There are a couple of different steps that you have to go through, but you can log in, log out, and do a little bit at a time. So you don't have to sit there and finish it all at once. So you can get a little bit done at a time. I found it to be very easy, very simple. There are a couple roadblocks, but the people over at ID Energy, Brent and his team, very helpful. They're very responsive. So if you have any issues or questions, you get stuck, you can always reach out to me, but also to the team at ID Energy. Generally, they say that you can finish the online training at home within 7 to 15 hours. It really depends on your speed, how much you get done, how quick you are to pick up things on an online format and things like that. For me personally, it took me about 8 or 9 hours, and it took me 2 days. I sat down and I just got most of the training done really quickly, and then I just logged back in the next day with a fresh brain, and I did 1 or 2 of the practice things, and then I took the final exam and I passed. So you get the in-person or online training, and both of them are very easy, simple, should be done within 2 days or so. Now the investment, as far as our time, obviously, so our time on site is pretty minimal. If you're doing a home inspection and you add on a home energy score, literally takes me an extra 5 minutes. As you saw when I was scrolling through some of the reports, you saw that we would look at the attic, we look at the roof, we look at the insulation, we look at the foundation. These are all things that we're looking for at the home inspection anyway. So we already have that information and all of those photos. It literally just needs to have us go around the house for the home energy score to get the exact square footage of the house. And I have a laser measure, which makes it very, very simple, especially for townhouses that are the same throughout. Now, if you have a house that's larger with a more, irregular footprint, or you have cathedral ceilings, things of that nature, it might take a little bit longer, but it's never taken me more than like 20 minutes max, and that was on a massive house that had an irregular footprint to get the measurements on the home. So most cases, you're just going to spend an extra 5 minutes on site. Doesn't take much time. Now when you get home, now I come home and I like to do it on my computer screen at home, but we do have an app that you can do it on site as well. And I've used that once or twice. It's amazing, but I prefer to come home. I like to see it all spread out on a larger screen. It's just my preference. That takes me on average about 14 minutes to produce the score, to take all that information that I had at the home inspection, put it into the online form, and then upload it and have it done. So very, very simple, and most of that time is just waiting for the photos to upload. Super simple. And I timed myself, as I said, about on average 14 minutes for me to produce a score. Now, what is our return on the investment of our time to do this? How much can we charge for it? Across the country, there are so many different price ranges. Some places, they do it for free. I personally, because US Inspect hasn't offered it, I do it for free, and it's just kind of like a marketing tool that I use for myself. Some agents call me specifically because they know that they have a house that's really high efficiency and they want me to evaluate it that way. So I get some jobs out of it. But if US Inspect wanted to charge for it, there are certain places across the country that can charge high and low. I've seen people from charging anywhere from $25 extra all the way up to $250 extra. So it really depends on your region, and that's something that we will leave to corporate to figure out. But yeah, there's definitely kind of a wide range. There are certain programs across the country, such as Southern California. The National Association of Realtors in California has put out there that they want more people to do the home energy score. So they said that they would reimburse people up to $250 to have their home scored. And that was for I think it ended in June this year. So they had a certain time period that they did that, and I'm sure that they're going to come around with that again. So there are different programs where people can do it for free, where we still get paid. They just get a rebate. And then there are certain places where it's required. So Oregon just passed a law that in order to sell a house, you have to have the home energy score done with it. And so that is law there now. We're also seeing it in places like Minneapolis with the TISH program, Truth in Sales of Homes. It's a requirement when selling a house in Minneapolis. You also see Denver, New York City. I think Philadelphia is starting a program soon. In my home state of Maryland, there is a small town called Tacoma Park, which is just north of DC, and they're considering making it a requirement. So you're seeing this kind of pop up all over the country. We can expect to see that probably within the next 10 years, per my estimate. You're going to start seeing it more commonly. So if we are the ones that are the experts already and have been doing it forever, then that makes us kind of an in really, really great with that. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I think I covered everything, but if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is rbuckley@usinspect.com. So if you have any questions, reach out to me, and thank you so much for listening to me talk about the home energy score today. It's a huge passion of mine, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. Bye!